Verse of the day. Boast in his set-apart name. Let the hearts of those seeking Yahuwah rejoice. 1 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 10. And they brought the ark of the Most High and set it in the midst of the tent that David had pitched for it. And they brought ascending offerings and peace offerings before the Most High. And when David had made an end of offering the ascending offerings and the peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of Yahuwah, and gave a portion to every one of Yasharal, both man and woman, to every one a loaf of bread, a measure, and a cake of raisins. And he appointed some of the Levites to serve before the ark of Yahuwah, to bring to remembrance and to thank and to praise Yahuwah, the mighty Most High of Yasharal. Asaph, the chief, and his second Zechariah, Yael, and Shemarath, and Yael, and Matthew, and Eli, and Benjamin, and Odeb, Edom, and Yael with harps and lyres, but Asaph was sounding with cymbals. And Benjamin and Hazazel, the Yahazel, the priest, continually blew the trumpets before the ark of the covenant of the Most High. And on that day, David first gave thanks to Yahuwah by the hand of Asaph and his brothers. Give thanks to Yahuwah, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the peoples. Sing to him, sing praise to him, speak of all his wonders. Boast in his set-apart name, let the hearts of those seeking Yahuwah rejoice. Seek Yahuwah and his strength, seek his face continually. Remember his wonders which he has done, his signs and the right rulings of his mouth. O seek Yasharal, his servant, O children of Jacob, his chosen ones. He is Yahuwah, our mighty Most High. His right rulings are in all the earth. Remember his covenant forever, the word he commanded for 1,000 generations, which he made with Abraham, and his oath to Isaac. And he established it to Jacob for a law, to Yasharal as an everlasting covenant, saying, to you I give the land of Canaan, the portion of your inheritance. When you were but few in number, few indeed, and sojourners in it. And they went up and down from one nation to another, and from one reign to another people. He allowed no one to oppress them, and he reproved sovereigns for their sakes, saying, do not touch my anointed ones, and do not do my prophets no evil. Sing to Yahuwah all the earth, proclaim his deliverance from day to day. Declare his esteem among the nations, his wonders among all peoples. For great is Yahuwah, and greatly to be praised, and he is to be feared above all mighty ones. For all the mighty ones of the peoples are matters of nothing, but Yahuwah made the heavens. Excellency and splendor are before him. Strength and gladness are in his place. Ascribe to Yahuwah, O clans of the peoples. Ascribe to Yahuwah esteem and strength. Ascribe to Yahuwah the esteem of his name. Bring an offering and come before him. Bow yourself to Yahuwah in the splendor of set-apartness. Tremble before him, all the earth. The world also is firmly established, immovable. Let the heavens rejoice, and let the earth be glad, and let them say among the nations, Yahuwah shall reign. Let the sea roar, and all that fills it. Let the field rejoice, and all that is in it. Let the trees of the forest then sing before Yahuwah, for he shall come to judge the earth. Give thanks to Yahuwah, for he is good, for his loving commitment is everlasting. And say, save us, O my mighty Most High, of our deliverance, and gather us together, and deliver us from the nations, to give thanks to your set-apart name, and boast in your praise. Blessed be Yahuwah, the mighty Most High, Yasharal, from everlasting to everlasting. And all the people said, it shall be done, and they praised Yahuwah. So he left Asaph and his brothers there before the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah to perform regular service before the ark as each day required. Also Obed-Edom with his 68 brothers, including Obed-Edom's son of Yaduthun, and Josiah to be gatekeepers, and Zadok the priest and his brothers the priests before the dwelling place of Yahuwah at at the high place that was at Gibeon, to offer ascending offerings to Yahuwah on the slaughter place of ascending offering regularly morning and evening, and to do according to all that is written in the Torah of Yahuwah, which he commanded Yasharal. And with them Haman and Yadathon and the rest who were chosen, who were designated by name to give thanks to Yahuwah, because his loving commitment is everlasting. And with them Haman and Yadathon, to sound aloud with trumpets and cymbals and instruments for the songs of the Most High, and the sons of Yahudathan for the gate. And all the people went, each one to his house, and David returned to bless his house.
The king's life is mine. What if I don't want to be king?
How many of us have actually looked up the etymology and definition of the word rapture before? I bet there's probably not many of us have. I know I haven't, but I bet a lot of us have opinions on what the end looks like, what our expectation looks like, don't we? Let's look at this definition for rapture. A feeling of intense pleasure or joy. I would have never guessed that. I thought it was a snatching, which it is that, but expressions of intense pleasure or enthusiasm about something. According to some millenarian teaching, the transporting of believers to heaven at the second coming of Christ. Thousands of Christians gathered outside Rochester and other cities awaiting the rapture. Awaiting the rapture. Are you awaiting the rapture, my friend? This one relates it to the word rape somehow. This definition. Rape, to seize, to abduct, to kidnap, to plunder. Do you think the Most High is going to kidnap or plunder you, do something to you to where it would feel like, it'd be the equivalent of raping? No. No. What the Most High is asking you to do is rule and reign and take over and rule all those thoughts, those doubting thoughts, those falsehood claims that have carried us away into an ecstatic trance that makes us think that we can ignore our set-apart dwelling place and the unity that is involved, and the faith, the belief, the love that is involved in doing what you're supposed to do, what the Lamb has taught us to do. The unity that would come from that, the love, the brotherhood, the order, the righteousness, the truth would all be established. It can all be established. We can rule and reign and come out of Babylon and Egypt all the way to a point to where we are actually living our lives the way we want people to think we live our lives. We'll actually we will become those people, the way our faith, what we envision our faith to grow into, mature into. We're not waiting anymore, actually taking control of our lives, walking in the truth, in the Ruach HaKodesh. I've shown you guys so much of the image of the beast stuff. But here's a little more. I found this, I had been seeing this articles pop up about black swan. And so I went and checked it out because of the colors, because of black and white, right? And you can see that. Let me read a little bit of this to you and show you how this story is just like all the rest of the stories, but you might not have knew. You might not have realized it. The plot. Nina Sayers, a young dancer with the company of New York City Ballet, lives with her overprotective mother, Erica, herself a former ballerina. The company is opening the season with Chokoloskyi's Swan Lake after forcing prima ballerina Elizabeth Beth McIntyre into retirement. Artistic director Thomas Leroy announces he is looking for a new dancer for the dual roles of the innocent, fragile white swan Detty or whatever, and the sensual dark black swan Odile. So now what's that remind you of? Odile and Odette. I'll tell you what it reminded me of is what we've been reading about Olaha and Olaba, the two sisters. Nina auditions for the roles and gives a flawless dance as Odette, but fails to embody Odile. The next day, Nina asks Thomas to reconsider, but when he forcibly kisses her, she bites him and runs out of his office. Later that day, Nina sees the cast list and learns to her surprise she has received the lead role. So it's this plot. It's the same. It's representing the image of the beast. It's the duality, the dual roles. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And all there's names like Benjamin, the Olaha and all like that. Them two names that represented Odile and however you say the other one. But in Lily, Nina is Nineveh, and that's who those characters portray. See, it's doppelganger. It's about doppelganger. Look right here. During a confrontation, Lily transforms into Nina. The two fight, breaking a mirror. Nina stabs her doppelganger with a large shard of glass from the mirror, killing her. And it's sick. I mean, I don't want to read it all, but that story it represents the image of the beast. And then I went and looked at Lost, and Lost is the same way. Everything about Lost, and I remember watching this when it came out, and look at the numbers. There's number 42, 23. So we ain't got to look through that, but we'll look through Olaha and Olabah here in Ezekiel chapter 23 and see if it stacks up, see if it adds up. And the word of Yahuwah came to me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, daughters of one mother, and they whored in Mitzrayim. They whored in their youth. Their breasts were handled, and their maiden nipples were squeezed. And their names were Olaha, the elder, and Olabah, her sister. And they were mine, and they bore sons and daughters, and their names Samaria is Olaha, and Jerusalem is Olabah. And just so you see that Shamaran, however you would pronounce that, you can see it's Samaria. Samaria, see right there in the middle? Boom, Samaria. So their names, Samaria is Olahah and Jerusalem is Olabah. And Olahah whored while she was mine, and she lusted for her lovers, the neighboring Ashurians. Dressed in purple, officers and rulers, all of them desirable young men, horsemen riding on horses. So she gave her whorings on them, all of them choice sons of Ashur, and with all for whom she lusted, with all their idols she defiled herself. And she did not forsake her whorings with Mitzrayim, with Egypt. For in her youth they had lain with her, and they squeezed her maiden nipples, and poured out their whorings on her. Therefore I have given her into the hand of her lovers, into the hand of the Ashurians for whom she lusted. They uncovered her nakedness. They took away her sons and daughters and killed her with the sword. And she became a byword among women, and they executed judgments on her. And her sister, Olabah, saw this, yet she became more corrupt in her lust than she, and in her whorings more corrupt than her sister's whorings. She lusted for the sons of Ashur, officers and rulers, the ones near, perfectly dressed, horsemen riding on horses, all of them desirable young men. And I saw that she was defiled. They both took the same way. But she increased her whorings, and she looked at men carved on the wall, images of the Kasdim inscribed in red. And I went over this so many times, and I can go back through this. Who he's talking about there is the holidays. It's the pagan gods. It's the Babylonian, the sons of Babylon, the sons of the Kasdim, inscribed in red. That's Zeus and Baal and Easter, Ishtar, Ashtoreth, Isis, Seth, Horus, all that stuff. That's who she was whoring after. So that's those and people who promote that, wherever you find that, whether hidden or not, doesn't matter if you know it or not. If it's in there, if you find out that what you're celebrating is actually pagan and it's worship of Kasdim, of the sons of Babylon, then you're whoring. That's whoring. That's what he hates. So and it defiles them, girded with belts around their loins, flowing turbans on their heads, all of them looking like officers, like the sons of Babel, of Kasdim, the land of their birth. As soon as her eyes saw them, she lusted for them and sent messengers to them in Kasdim. Did that not happen? Yes. Look at it. Look around. Take a look around. And the sons of Babel came to her into the bed of carnal love, and they defiled her with their whorings, and she was defiled by them, and her being turned from them in disgust. And she uncovered her whorings and uncovered her nakedness. Then I turned my being from her in disgust, as my being had turned from her sister in disgust. And she increased her whorings, remembering the days of her youth, when she whored in the land of Egypt. And she lusted after her lovers, whose flesh is like the flesh of donkeys, and whose emission is like the emission of horses. Thus you longed for the wickedness of your youth, when the Mitzrite squeezed your nipples because of the breast of your youth. And if you're feeling a little weirded out, and that's a little uncomfortable to hear, well, think of Abba's feelings. Think about how he feels about it. And it doesn't matter what you say, what reason you give for doing it. All that matters is that you're doing it. You can't argue with that. If you're doing it, you're doing it, and you shouldn't be doing it. Find something else to do. And as a matter of fact, there's lots of nice things that have nothing to do with death and decay and corruption. Therefore, Olabah, thus said the Master Yahuwah, see, I am stirring up your lovers against you, from whom you're being turned in disgust, and shall bring them against you from every side. And the children of Babel, and all the Kasdim, Pequod, Shawa, Kawa, all the sons of Ashur with them, all the desirable young men, governors and rulers, officers and men of name, all of them riding on horses. And they shall come against you with battle axe, chariots, and vehicles, and with an assembly of peoples. They shall set against you armor and shield and helmet all around, and I shall commit the judgment to them, and they shall judge you according to their rulings. Now, for those of you who haven't been watching me read this for a while, you might not believe me when I tell you that the sovereign of Ashur is Satan. That's the fallen angels. So that's who that is. And Egypt, Babylon is, and the sons of the Kasdim is who I just said it was. And Egypt is money. It's if you go through and you read in prophecy when it say Mitzrayim or Egypt, it's talking about the money, the way, the system of things, like the economic ecosystem here in the world. And it's all fueled by the sons of the Kasdim. And that's all fueled by the sovereign of Ashur. And they shall come, that's why it says they shall come against them with all those. The battle axe, that's everything. The church, and that's why it names the shield, the helmet. And he says, I shall commit the judgment to them, to all those, to the shield, to the word. Basically, you can sum that up and just narrow it all the way down to one word. And you can either use the word or sword. His sword or his word. It's the same thing, and it is what is judging you. You're going to be looking out in the sky waiting for this rapture to happen. And yes, I want to correct myself. I do believe that there is a such thing as a rapture now that I've looked at the definition of the word. I do. I believe that the rape aspect and the ecstasy and all that, blindness, that is what it's done to people. The word rapture and this theory, wherever it came from. And on the other side of that token, just like all these things, they're two-faced. They're like Janus. They all got one, there's a different side to each coin. Well, on the other side of that, where at the beginning, at the first definition for the word rapture, where it said overjoyed and enthused and stuff about something, then that part is correct too, because I evidently, now that I've seen that definition, I can say honestly that I've been raptured. All I want is his kingdom. All I want is to live there with him and get and receive what he has to give me, but more importantly, be on my face giving him all praise, all honor, all glory, and all esteem, night and day, round and round. He's worthy of far more than that. And that's, if that's who you are, and you say that's who you are, then you should want to do the same thing. And if you do, that's when those of your brothers and your sisters will come together and do what's right, and put their money where their mouth has been. All you have to do is go home to your throne, rule and reign. That's all you have to do. But if you don't consider it, you're being judged by that word. It's slicing and it's a dicing you. And you're on your way to a place you do not want to go to. And you're choosing that. And you can't argue with that. If you want to look at the word, you can come up with some kind of crazy idea like the rapture theory. But if we open up the word together, me and you, if we break bread together, brother to brother, brother to sister, however it goes, and look at the word will tell us that the rapture, twinkling of the eye thing up into the sky, is pie in the sky. The following the Lamb wherever he leads us, back to the throne, to our home, to doing what's right, picking up our stake, following the Lamb, doing the desire of our Father in heaven. His will, not our will. His word, not our word. His sword, not our sword, or Ashur's sword, Babylon's sword. That is tearing down, it's destroying. That's why he says he put the sword in his hand. And I shall set my jealousy against you, and they shall deal heatedly with you. And everywhere you see jealousy, when he says he's jealous, He's talking about the set apart place. Zion, Jerusalem. They shall cut off your nose and your ears, while the rest of you fall by the sword. Your sons and your daughters they shall take away, while the rest of you shall be consumed by fire. And they shall strip you of your garments, and shall take your pretty jewels. And I shall put an end to your wickedness and to your whorings from the land of Mitzrayim, so that you do not lift your eyes to them, neither remember Mitzrayim anymore. For thus said the Master Yahuwah, see, I am giving you into the hand of those whom you hate, into the hand of those whom you're being turned in disgust, the sons of the Kasdim, the ones you say you hate, and Satan and all them, you're being turned into their hands. If you go with the rapture theory, any other theory, except for going home and being who you say you want to be in Zion, there's only one way. If you do that, then yeah, you're Zion. But if you don't, anything else, anything less than that, it's Babylon, Mitzrayim. You've been given over to them, and they're destroying you. And there's only one way out. There's only one refuge, only one escape, only one deliverance. Don't get it twisted. Any fantasy that you've been told, it's just that, it's fantasy. And they shall deal with you in hatred, and they shall take away all you have worked for, and they shall leave you naked and bare, and the nakedness of your whoring shall be uncovered, and the wickedness of your whorings. I do this to you because of your whoring after the nations, because you have been defiled by their idols. You have walked in the way of your sister, and I shall give her cup into your hand. Thus said the Master Yahuwah, drink of your sister's cup, the deep and wide one, you being laughed at and mocked at, for it holds much, and you are. Anyone who's not returning home in unity with their brethren and their Most High, their Creator, they're laughing at you. All those movies is them laughing at you, mocking at you. That movie, Leave the World Behind, Obama and them made that. Look on iPad Go too. It's all connected. All them movies, they're all connected. They're all by people who come from a country that starts with a G, back in the 40s, all the Lord of the Rings, all that stuff. They all knew what was coming, because they're just like on iPad Go 2, Bin Laden, he's got wings on his back. Just the same with the shirt. They're fallen angels. That's how they know all those things, and they've passed it down, and they're being used by the Most High to wipe everybody out. All the pretenders, all the hypocrites. They're mad, drunk, being filled with drunkenness and sorrow, the cup of the astonishment and ruin, the cup of your sister Samaria, and you shall drink it and shall drain it, and gnaw its shards, and tear at your own breast. For I have spoken, declares the Master Yahuwah. Therefore thus said the Master Yahuwah, because you have forgotten me and cast me behind your back, therefore you shall bear your wickedness and your whorings. And Yahuwah said to me, Son of man, judge Olaha and Olabah, and declare to them their abominations. For they have committed adultery, and blood is on their hands, and they have committed adultery with their idols, and even offered their sons whom they bore to me, passing them through the fire to devour. Now that could be literal. I've said this so many times. Every time we read this, that more than likely is literal for people back in the past, but it might as well be the same way today. When you have a child and you grow it and you rear it up, raise your child into Babylon with the sons of the Kasdim and never wanting to go home, no unity, none of this, you're setting them over to the fire. It's like you're standing at the party in 2 ways, at where the separation of the wheat and chaff, and you're just tossing your children over into the chaff department side to be devoured. They also did this to me. They have defiled my set apart place on the same day, and they have profaned my Sabbaths. For when they had slain their children for their idols, on the same day they came into my set apart place to profane it. And see, that is what they did in the midst of my house. And they even sent for men to come from afar, to whom the messenger was sent. And see, they came for whom you washed yourself, painted your eyes, and adorned yourself with ornaments. And you sat on a splendid couch with a table prepared before it, on which you had set my incense and my oil on. Oh yeah, in that plot to the Black Swan, in the end she gets the one pushes the other one off the cliff, and she lands on a bed. And she tells her like last part of the movie, her last line on the bed. It's stupid, but that's what it's talking about. It's talking about the whore of Babylon and the two sides of it, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and that you have to come out of it. You got to come out of all that. You have to come home, and that's the only way. There's no deliverance except for that. Anything else, you can't prove it, and you've been duped. You've been fooled, my friend, suckered, and you don't have to be. Come out of it. The only true way is something you can grab a hold of. You ain't got to roll the dice. You can take it and be who the Most High has destined you, has made you to be, who you can be. But the only one who's going to take that away from you is you. Yes, Satan, Ashur, and all that is going to tempt you. That's what it's here for. It's the separation of the wheat and the chaff. Only those who want to come home, who want home, are going to be home, are going to make it home. And anywhere else besides home is going to destruction. This is just as in the time of Noah. Abba flooded the earth out back then because of this. This time it's even worse. And he's going to get rid of it once and for all. And the remnant who will be left are those who want home, who think about home, who want to come home, who are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Standing in the gate, repairing the breach, passing this message along, sharing the good news of the reign of the Most High, coming together, unified, with love. Without love, you're just making a bunch of noise. And without our home and unity, what you're feeling ain't love. It's only love if you want your home with unity together forever, and truth and right ruling, peace and happiness and shalom. If you ain't about all that together, then you're sadly mistaken. You have realities turned upside down. And the sound of the crowd at ease was with her. The drunkards were brought from the wilderness with men of the commonest sort. And they put bracelets on their wrists and pretty crowns on their heads. Then I said concerning the one worn out in adulteries, now let them commit her whorings, even hers. And they went into her as men go into a woman who is a whore. Thus they went into Olahah and Olabah, the wicked women. But let righteous men judge them with the judgment of adulteresses, and with the judgment of women who shed blood, for they are adulteresses, and blood is on their hands. For thus said the Master Yahuwah, bring up an assembly against them, give them up to maltreatment and plunder, and the assembly shall stone them with stones and cut them with their swords. They shall kill their sons and their daughters and burn their houses with fire, and I shall put an end to the wickedness in the land, and all the women shall be instructed not to commit wickedness as you have done. And they shall put your wickedness on you, and you shall bear the sins of your idols, and you shall know that I am Yahuwah, the Master Yahuwah. And see, that wasn't literal. Good thing, huh? See, the women, we already know it was talking about Jerusalem and Samaria. So the women and their children, it's not literal. It's what we have to kill, these Babylonian holidays, these lies, all this falsehood and nonsense. It's wickedness, darkness. It has to be destroyed, and anything related to it. It has to be destroyed, and it will be destroyed. And if you can't let go of it, guess what? Bye-bye.
Number 1 sent in this video footage of this mysterious looking object in the sky above Scotland. Cheap Noodles took this video yesterday evening at 4:19 p.m. from Scotland. Here I slowed it down and zoomed in on it. What was weird about this, I received photos and videos from 4 different people. This looked so out of place it compelled that many people, and there were probably more. These were just the folks that shared their observations with me. I'm sure there were a lot more. Viewer number 2, Perth, Scotland, Mary, December 19th at 4:10 p.m. This was in the sky for over 10 minutes. The photos range from 4:10 to 4:20 p.m. up there for about 10 minutes. This one here just happened to be shaped like a triangle craft. Just looked super out of place. Everything else in the sky looked random. This didn't look so random. It looked like a triangle craft. And that was from viewer number 2. Now moving on to viewer number 3. Out of Burnt Island, Scotland, a video taken at 4:15 p.m. These were photos sent in by Tony. This is what he saw at 4:15 in the sky that again just looked totally out of place. Nothing else in the sky even came remotely close to looking anything at all like this, almost like Earth was visited by something yesterday evening, and it was spotted above Scotland by multiple people. There were multiple witnesses that saw this thing in the evening sky. Barry D, December 19th at 4:20 p.m. The photos and videos that I received ranged from 4:10 to 4:20. And this is what Barry saw when he looked up in the sky. And after this photo here, he shared a video from this same exact location. And I'm sure he wasn't the only person that noticed that. Notice how dark it is. The lights are on. It's nearly dark outside. And you've got this random looking glowing cloud in the sky that appears to be its own light source because the sun is below the horizon. That is so weird. And again, I had 4 different people from Scotland that do not know each other that shared this footage with me. Within about an hour's time, I started receiving all of this video footage once again from Scotland of some sort of a mysterious object in the sky. I want to go back to this one right here because it aligns with something that was spotted from the International Space Station on December 13th. See this right here in the field of view? This video footage was sent in by Lisa out of Pea Ridge, Arkansas, and the footage is from the International Space Station. I want you to notice the similarities to this object right there that was noticed on the ISS live cam. Check this out. Look at how similar they look. There's that object right there that was spotted above the Earth, and this was spotted above Scotland. Check it out. Look at the similarities. They look almost identical, at least in shape. This one here is obviously a little bit different color, but that was spotted not only by Lisa from Pea Ridge, Arkansas, but Nelson Jenks also spotted this thing from the International Space Station live cam. Looked like some sort of a large triangle in the sky visible from the International Space Station. Maybe that's what people saw from Scotland. I don't know. They definitely